Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson, and this is your wake-up call.
When a brown girl child is born, the earth shifts. The sun is at half-mast. The moon waits for her first cry. The ancestors set the table. The flowers turn red as blood. This is your land, continent daughter, with tree trunk legs and branches for arms. This is your soil, black and fertile as your eyes facing an apartheid Jim Crow current past memory. Some of us begin the removal of shackles at birth. We grow into the armor of struggle quickly. We brew courage in our tea, blend bravery into our Sunday dinners. Joanne Watson, you understand nation building is not a part-time job. This dedicated life is sometimes lonely, a vulnerable choice, but it is the only way you know how to operate. You are wired for the movement in your black women bones, even when tired, still fighting, still organizing, still singing morning spirituals. You were born to lead, even in your own family, the eldest of 10 children born to Jefferson and Lestine. You made Damon, Nefertari, Stephen, Maya. Her children always knew she was larger than life. When you are a woman in the movement, you take the children with you on the journey. You bring the babies with you to your college classes. When you travel to Ghana for the first time, it will be with your daughters in tow. When you are a fearless, nationalist thinking mama, mothering never stops with your own babies. 30 godchildren and mentees across the globe. The daughter of a ministering mother is already ordained for good trouble. A seer, a prophetic young student preparing for her lifelong role as servant to her own community. When your purse was snatched in a Farmer Jack parking lot many years ago with your kids' tickets to Run DMC in the purse, you made sure they still got to that concert and even hosted Melly Mel and the Furious Five in your living room, because queens make it look easy. When you were a single mom, people would tell you what you can't do. Instead, you moved to New York City with all 4 of your C's to do your necessary work with the YWCA, because queens make it look easy. Ghana, Togo, South Africa, where is your heart, Mama Watson? Nurturing spirit, baking melt in your mouth, homemade biscuits. How many hours do you sleep, Warrior Watson, with endless work ethic and blue-collar blood racing through your veins? How do we say thank you for your work, your time, your heart? We know you will never really retire. There is a fire on the path to freedom. There is smoke, there is sacrifice. There are stories of justice, of women, of Tubman, Sojourner, of Angela, Asada, Coretta, and Merle, and Betty, and Queen Mother Moore. Some of us know we are ancient, that our marrow is laced with legacy, that we are here to bring light to our daughters. Sometimes it just takes one woman, a mother, a grandmother, a Spitfire, griot, a sister, the only woman to lead the NAACP's largest chapter. She, daughter of the movement, of Rosa, of Irma. She was a birth that gave birth to possibility for other young activists like me, a true D woman, frontline Fatima, Nigerian blood, councilwoman, leader, truth teller, Joanne Watson, social worker, president of the Anti-Clan Network, sister, inspiration, dedicated to the protection of girls and the voices of women wrapped in West African beauty, regal and resilient. Wake up, Detroit. Wake up, South Africa. Wake up, Cuba. Wake up, small business owners. Wake up, White House. Wake up, reparations. Wake up, teachers. Wake up, women. Wake up, schools. Sleeping is not an option when the Honorable Joanne Watson is in the room.
Wake up, Detroit. I'm Joanne Watson. This is the day the Lord has made, and we do rejoice and we're glad in it. I don't know about you, but I can't let a day go by without praising His name. We praise God, from whom all blessings flow. We know it is God who made us, and not we ourselves. What a blessing it is to come to you on this day with a sister, one who is so good she has a number of titles. She's a poet. She's an artist. She's an attorney. She's an author. She's an actor. She is an activist, very active with the community that's working for nationalism and liberation for our people. And we want to welcome Ivy Riley, who's also the better half of our brother, Awusu Millard, Puerto Rico. Hello, my sister.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a joy to be here.
I love you. You, my sister.
Thank you.
And you're here to talk about with the producer.
Right.
about Shrek the Musical. Tell us all about that and introduce our sister.
Okay, this is my daughter, Angela Riley, who happens to be one of the producers of Shrek the Musical, which is a play that I'm involved in with Park Players.
And now, Angela, what is it that gave you the inspiration to do Shrek the Musical?
Well, there is a committee that is a part of Park Players that actually selects the shows. So I think that the idea behind Shrek is that it's light, it's fun, it's family entertainment, and
That's
people
true.
can get involved with it. The last show that we did was To Be Young, Gifted, and Black.
My.
And it was very
Different.
It was very different. It was an excellent production.
Excellent.
But it was
Yeah.
we got into some meat.
Yes.
So it's time for some lightness and some fun.
And this is light.
This is
Shrek.
light and fun.
The role that arts plays in our community cannot be overstated. We need arts.
Yes, we do.
We need plays. We need poetry.
And there's nothing like live theater. I
You better
always
say
I'm always amazed at the power of theater to engage and connect an audience. So often we think that in today's age with technology and TV and movies that nobody wants to see a play. But it seems like whenever people get in the theater,
They love it.
they love it.
We
They
love
get
it.
caught up in the world.
That's right.
We love it and we enjoy it. So.
Now, what turned you on to theater and to plays, artistic development?
I have been performing since I was in the 4th grade.
You better say it.
I did a little piece called Children's Live What They Hear or Say What They See or something. And from there, so I've been involved with community theater ever since. I've done productions at school and in college. And
Excellent.
all over the
What
world.
college did you attend?
I went to Barnard College in New York,
Oh,
which
my.
is part of Columbia University.
Mercy. You went to Barn. Oh, mercy. Well, let me sit up a little straighter. Baby been to Barnard.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have come from a family that's committed to arts.
I come from a family that's committed to arts and engaged in arts and committed to community. Because I feel like, just like you said, you can't understate the importance of art to our community
That's
and
right.
to activism and us defining ourselves and connecting with ourselves and exploring and understanding ourselves.
Go
So
ahead.
all of that is in the legacy and the tradition of, what we do out here.
I have often felt that the role that the black community itself, and including the black church play in arts, is really understated because many of us, I remember saying my first piece, what they call Easter piece in church.
That's right.
And my big mama pushing me up on stage. And,
Yes.
an elder nominating you to get up and MC a program when you're 12 years old. And see, that's something that's part of who we are. It's part of our culture.
And
Yes.
it helps to develop the confidence
You better
of young
say
people.
it.
It's so important. The first time that a lot of people speak in
Say it.
public is at the church.
That's
And,
right.
when you get up and do that, you stand a little straighter and you
Hey,
speak
hey.
a little stronger.
That's
That's
right.
important.
That's right.
That's very
and even at the
important.
dinner table, you have to give reports. Your folks, when you have back in the day when we used to have everybody at the table, somebody would ask you to give an accounting of yourself. What are you doing with yourself now? That
Right.
family table is an opportunity for you to present yourself,
That's right.
to send forth those vibrations that will provide the level of support you need.
That's right.
I want to ask my sister Ivy to talk to us about your pride and your wonderful daughter doing this great work, and also how you feel about being a part of this Shrek the Musical performance at the theater. And that's coming up soon.
Yeah, it's coming up the end of April. We have 6 shows, April 27th and 28th at 8 p.m. and the 29th at 2 p.m. and the following weekend, Friday and Saturday night at 8 and Sunday at 2. But I got into theater a little bit differently than Angela did. I always kind of wanted to act, but I never really had the nerve until she was in high school,
Wow.
really. And I had started work at the state, and I had a little more time, and it's like, well, what am I going to do? And it's like, well, I've always wanted to act, so I'm going to go into
Praise
that.
God.
So I did a lot of what they call community theater, but it wasn't true community theater in the sense that you got paid. It would be small productions with maybe 4 or 5 actors. I did that for years. And
Yes.
when I stumbled on Park Players, it was like a whole different world.
Excellent.
The volunteer world, you don't have the stress and the problems that you do sometimes for a paid production. And it was just a relief to be able to do a show and concentrate on the acting and not have to worry about the costume, not have to worry about the set, to know that someone else is going to take care of all of that. All I have to do is show up, know my lines, and do that part. So I really enjoy working with part players. I've been working with them now for probably about 7 or 8 years.
Praise God.
I've been on the board now for the last 2 or 3 years.
Excellent. Now, where will the performances be held?
The Redford Theater.
That's on Grand River.
Yes. Grand River and Lasher.
Yes.
That area.
The address is 17360 Lasser.
Right.
Yes.
For those who want to Google it and get their Google Maps.
All right now. When you get to Grand River and Lasser, you can't miss it. It's right. You can see it from the corner.
Yes.
And it's a wonderful venue.
Yes, it is. It was a vaudeville theater.
Yes.
So we, for 65 years, the Park Players, 65? For 65 years, the Park Players has been at the Redford Park, Rosedale Park, Community House. And so spring last year we did a production. We did Sister Act at the Redford Theater. And the Community House was lovely and wonderful, and we converted it into a theater in a sense. But the Redford Theater
is a theater. Come on, somebody.
And so it's a whole, it's a wonderful space to be in for, doing theater.
And it's a wonderful way to come together to really demonstrate the genius art that has always been evident in the city of Detroit. We think back to Ron Milner, who was our good friend and whom we loved well, and the Concept East Theater. There's so much artistic genius in Detroit.
Yes, there is.
And there always has been.
Always has been.
And it's just good to showcase it.
Yes. That's absolutely correct. Steady Jackson, too. I just want to say that ancestor's name because I loved his
That's
work.
right. That's right.
So,
And you think about Woody King.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so many who got their start in this beloved city who've gone on to achieve notoriety.
Mm-hmm.
And just the perseverance of somebody like Dorothy Robinson.
You better say it.
Yes. And I've worked with her. I love working with
That
her.
she perseveres. She certainly does.
Yes.
Years and years ago, when I was the director of the downtown YWCA, where Comerica Park sits now, was where my YWCA, but they never should have sold that YWCA. That's another story. But Dorothy, she negotiated, and we had some of her plays down in the lower level of the Young Women's Christian. And so at one point, we had the domestic violence shelter on the top floor, and Dorothy Robinson's Playhouse on the lower floor.
Okay.
And down the road, Ron Milner did one of his performances there, and we just it was just great to have the whole community wrapped around.
Yes.
The something that was controlled and led by us.
That's right.
In downtown Detroit.
Yes.
So I love this.
Yeah.
And this is in Detroit.
Yes.
It's in the city. Lasser at near Grand River, and Shrek the Musical is something light. It's fun.
Yes.
It's something you can bring the whole family to.
Yes.
Yes, it is. I'd love to share the website of Park Players.
Oh,
for
please
people
do.
Who are ready to buy tickets now, or whenever you're ready, you can go on to parkplayers.org for tickets, and you can also find us on Facebook at Park Players Detroit. So, reach out, get tickets. They're $15 for regular tickets and $20 for VIP, which puts you up close and more personal. Because it's a big theater. We went from 160-seat house to 2,000.
Yeah.
It's a big house now. So
It's
you
a
can bring
big
your
house.
whole family. You don't have to feel limited.
I love it. And you also have the opportunity to meet with the cast after the performance.
Yes. We always come out into the audience and thank people for coming.
Amen. Amen. Is there a phone number they can call? Would you rather they go online?
They can go online, but there is a phone number. That phone number is 734-752-1456.
Now, as a board member, Ivy, are you also looking into 2019, looking beyond this year?
Yes. Yes, we usually plan the plays at least 6 to 12 months in advance.
Okay. Yeah, because you have to have time to produce, learn the script, and
Have to get producers, get directors.
you have to cast it.
Yes. Do auditions, all of that.
That's wonderful. are you seeking those persons who may have that kind of artistic love but haven't stepped out before?
Sure. That was me.
And we always, I mean, I think one of the things that's beautiful about my experience of Park Players is that the first musical that I ever worked on was Sister Act, and there were people there who it was their first show, and now they're
Veterans.
They're right. They're veterans. They're Park Players. They've been in the show,
Hey.
and it's fun and exciting to watch the growth and development of people. Now, in Young, Gifted, and Black, we actually had like one of the we had a little girl who was 7 or 8. But we also had a teenager who was 16 or 17. But usually it's adults. But it's exciting to see the adults grow and develop and step out. And I was a little nervous. I didn't know if I should audition. And now, you know, some of the mamas.
Now they got a little swag.
Yeah.
Swag, and, you know, that's part of what community theater is about.
It is.
You know, you sing. You know, we usually do a musical. And then something a little more serious.
Yes.
So we alternate 2 shows a year.
And it's very family oriented, not just me and my daughter, but you see grandparents and granddaughters in the same production. You see one woman did a show that her mother did 20 years ago.
I love
for
it.
Park
I
Players.
love it.
So the family is very much there.
Praise God.
And the community sense, because even if you're not technically family, you know, we're
Yes.
doing potlucks and
That's right.
you know, there's a social aspect too behind the scenes.
Well, there just ought to be. Because you extended family.
Yes.
So Park Players is something that our community, our viewers can access through your website. Let's give your website address again.
It is parkplayers.org, PARKPLAYERS.org, parkplayers.org.
What about anyone who has been nursing a script, something that is a play that they believe speaks volumes to what our community needs to hear right now? Is there an opportunity for them to present that to the board or to Park Players for consideration?
Sure. We don't do a whole lot of original plays, but the first time that I worked with Park Players, it was a play called Palmer Park, which was about Detroit.
My.
And it was like the second or third time it had been produced.
Okay.
So there is an opportunity.
That's interesting. Now, the creativity that this generates may cause you to have a run longer than you've planned at the Redford Theater. So you're open to that, right?
Well, scheduling.
Okay.
So probably it's going to be these 6 shows.
Okay.
But when I heard, this is before my time, but there was a show that
Yeah, it was
so
held
come
over.
out. That was held,
Dreamgirls.
Dreamgirls, when
Yeah.
Dreamgirls was done, it was held over. So if
Come
the
on
people
now.
come and buy all the tickets,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out.
Yes. I like that. Responding to
Demand.
the demands.
Right.
My. Well, we certainly want to salute you, Angela. Your commitment, your brilliance just shines through so brightly.
Thank you.
We want to salute you, Ivy. When you think of Angela Riley and Ivy Riley, Ivy Thomas Riley. Mm-hmm.
That's one of my names. I perform under the name of Sadie Bernice.
Sadie Bernice, all right. We'll keep that in mind when we come to the Redford
Right.
Theater. We want to really enable, fortify, lift up the arts in this community. So we want to thank you for holding up the light, holding up the mantle for artistry. What we're doing right now is art. This is art.
Yes.
Communication arts. We salute those persons who are committed to that, who give their lives to that, because our community is a better place when we have arts. I am one of those who takes a strong stand against those who have decided that they can remove arts from the schools. I hate that. When I was at Central High School, I had drama. I had journalism, which helps me do what I'm doing right now.
That's right.
You know, I had the opportunity to be the editor of my high school paper.
That's right.
That's arts.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
We need arts.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
At one point, I had a magnificent drama instructor who put together our Harlem Renaissance repertory piece, and we would put on formal clothes, 15, 16 years old, and we learned the poetry of Claude McKay.
That's right.
And Dudley Randall.
That's right.
And when I think, and I had no idea at that point that Naomi Long Madgett, whose poem we learned, was teaching down the road at Northwestern High School. So we need to have the arts
Yes.
in order to be whole. We're not fully whole without arts.
I
That's
agree.
right.
We're not fully developed
That's
until we have
right.
access to the arts.
That's
So
right.
this business of only having math and English and science in the schools is ridiculous, ludicrous.
Yeah, and we have to use our creativity to make sure that we're getting not just the bread, but the roses, the
You better
art
say it.
for ourselves and our families and our
Yes.
community. So we have to use our creativity.
That's right.
To
Figure it out.
figure
And make
it
the
out.
demand. There are children.
Make the demand.
And these are our schools.
That's
There are
right.
dollars.
That's right.
Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. The schools should not just be factories pouring people out doing lockstep math and rote lessons. That doesn't make you whole.
No, it doesn't.
This makes you having an opportunity to go to Shrek the Musical.
And Mama Joanne, we want to thank you too. I don't know when I don't want us to get off the air without us being able to thank you for having us
Yes.
and welcoming us.
It's an
and
honor.
engaging
I was
us.
so blessed to see your mom last night at a magnificent presentation at the Charles H. Wright Museum
Yes.
of African American History. It was absolutely chilling to hear the account of the author of a book that sold out last night,
Yes.
The Plot to Kill King, written by
Perry, what was his name?
Patterson, Perry,
No, dang.
Pettingill. No.
I was
No.
there too. I saw you. But I
the
can't-
significance of the message and the documentation that this attorney
Yes.
was able to gather with respect to the backdrop of Dr. King, whose death we commemorated. We didn't really celebrate it. We commemorated it yesterday, April 4th, and to know that the government was behind it and at the foot and at the head of all the conspiratorial activity surrounding Dr. King's tragic death.
as it is, it's the foot and the head and behind and in front of so much other mess and confusion.
You got that right.
Yeah.
You got that right. So we salute Charles Ezra Farrell at the Charles H. Wright Museum and Juanita Moore, President and CEO of the
Yes.
Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, for sponsoring this significant piece. And certainly it was a great, great pleasure to have our brother Attorney Anderson lead him, Carl Edwards lead the introduction of the author who presented the details of this horrific event in the life of our world, the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It was just chilling. I don't think anybody could have sat there
Right.
without feeling the impact of that, and to hear the story of how the FBI was absolutely involved.
In the documentation.
Yes.
Yeah. The hospital, the whole conspiracy.
That hospital scene as it was described, just, oh my goodness, gruesome, horrific. To our hero to do that kind of sadistic, sinister behavior is one that ought to give us reason for pause and also reason to fight. And, Frederick Douglass said, power never concedes
Without a demand.
without a demand, and never
Right.
has and it never will.
That's right.
So we have to fight. We can't look the other way and act as if everything is okay, because
That's
it's
right.
not.
And we have to keep fighting. I was in South Africa in February for 2 weeks, and we went to one of the apartheid museums, and they showed the memorials where they had mass burials every weekend because the police would just come and shoot people.
My Lord.
And, we have it here, just not to that extent. We don't have mass burials, but we have burials every weekend because people are getting shot.
That's right.
We got to do something about the
We
gun
must.
violence.
We have to fight. And we also want to, you mentioned South Africa, we want to pause and remember Mother Africa.
Yes.
Mama Winnie Mandela, whom
Yes.
we loved well, who is such a magnificent, towering figure
Yes.
for our people,
And for women, yes.
for women, but she loved her people.
Yes, she did.
We
she
loved.
fought for
She
us.
fought for her.
And we
Yes, she
love
did.
her.
Mama Africa.
Yes. And I just want to say also that moment when the men, or, you know, in the context of the presentation last night, when there was a discussion about the and the attempt, because I feel like you can't diminish who we are. You can't diminish our legacy.
Right.
So that attempt to, you know, diminish someone in the last moments of their lives, that attempt to mass murders and killing people and locking them up, you still can't kill the spirit of who we are and the
Right.
fact that we're going to continue to fight, and we're out here fighting. So I feel like, as upsetting and disturbing as that can be, to me it's almost inspiration and a remembrance that, you know, some people are petty and silly and they try to do, you know, foolishness to, you know, dim the light that is us, but it's not going to work.
Well, see, there is a God who's sitting high and looking low.
Yes.
And those conspirators who brought our ancestors over here at gunpoint through a murderous process, only to provide late, undeserved loot for them, and who had our ancestors working from can't see in the morning to can't see at night with no compensation, no respect, having them eat from troughs like hogs. We're here in spite of,
Yes.
not because of. Our folks were already civilized. What is uncivilized is enslavement.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right. I call them slave
What is
monsters.
uncivilized is genocide.
That's right. Rape, stealing labor,
Rape,
all, none of that is
castration,
civilized.
lynching,
Right.
that's a torture, that's terrorism, that's uncivilized.
Exactly.
It's anti-human, anti-God.
And some people try to project who they are on us. That's not us. That's who they are. That's just right. Our legacy is strength and beauty and survival.
You
and
better say it.
joy and art and love through all of it. So
Yes.
So we honor Mama Africa, Queen Mother Winnie Mandela.
yes.
We would not have known the significant legacy of Nelson Mandela
Had
had it
it not been.
not been for Winnie Mandela, who stood tall, who fought the evil of her day in order to help secure his freedom after 27 years.
And the freedom of her people and all
Right.
That's
of us.
exactly right. That's exactly right. We thank God for the spirit that has created Shrek the Musical. And we want the whole community to support. Now, Sister Ivy, if you would give all the dates again, and Angela, if you would share the website again, because we want the house to be full at the theater on Lasser and Grand River.
Okay, we open April 27th, which is a Friday night at 8 p.m. We're open the next day at 8, and that's Sunday at 2 p.m. The following weekend, May 4th and 5th at 8 p.m., and the 6th is our closing performance at 2 p.m. Tickets are $15. VIP seating is $20.
And you can find us on Facebook at on Facebook at Park Players Detroit. You can call our box office at 734-752-1456. And you can find our website or us online at parkplayers.org. O-R-G.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Angela Riley, our producer. Thank you, Ivy Thomas
Thank
Riley,
you so much.
who is an author, an artist, an activist, an attorney. She's she's a wonderful mama. She's a wonderful sister. She's the better half of Owusu Malard, Puerto Rico. And she is one who has been fighting for this community down through the years and still doing it like her baby. We give God all the praise. And we want to send a good well wish out to our leader, H.T. Henry Tyler, who is still recovering. We thank God for our wonderful boss, R.J. Watkins. He's a Watkins in Watkins Broadcasting. We thank God for Sean Watkins, who's doing engineering and sound work and camera work and helping to do all things here. We're just grateful for Kim, and we're grateful for everybody who makes Watkins Broadcasting be the baddest black production in this community, Highland Park and Detroit. Wake up, Detroit.